This is a Primarina video and I couldn't resist to create one as we are starting off today's content with a terrible lead against Quagsire. Our Magnezone on the lead will struggle a lot against that Pokemon and we meet up with Skeledirge on the switch. This means now that we might actually get the chance to draw two seals out of play because of how crazily good we can be after we bait first with the Seed Bomb. Both of them seals are already out of play and now it's time for our Primarina to emerge as a perfect sweeper on this team, because we use one shield, we still have one more, and they come back to the battle with a Quagsire. This can only mean that their final Pokemon is kinda weak to our Primarina, so it all depends to see what that Pokemon might be. They have the Altaria, they get walled down and they back out. Even with Waterfall, the fairy typing is still gonna put off some pretty nice work. Into the next game now with a Primarina, but this time on the opposing side, which means that our Magnezone will be on a very good spot. Thunder Punch here can easily be taken by our Primarina as we survive the following Dragon Breaths, and now we spend a shield on the Aqua Tail. I'm not sure why I didn't drop my energy earlier, that could have been much wiser, but we end up taking the shield back anyways. So we go down, but at the same time we can easily come back to the battle with our Trevenant, since now we know that they have no Draco Meteor, only Aqua Tail and Thunder Punch, two of those moves that we can easily survive with our Trev. With that in mind, now we can easily farm down, still reach on the Shadow Ball to get the final shield out of the game. The battle is definitely not over yet and Primarina comes back to the game. All we need to do here is to get our hands on the Wild Charge to push them to their limits. They survive, but Volt Switch registers much faster than the Incinerate, one turn faster to be exact, and we're gonna take a solid victory on this one. That was absolutely insane and we still had that shield intact. Into the next game now as we're facing an Annihilate. Was it the Annihilate? I think so. This is another terrible lead that we need to recover from, and now our Trevenant will just wreak havoc on the defenses of this Ferrothorn. So I decided to take the move here, and in the process we might be in the perfect situation to completely farm down, but I was getting too cocky because right here they get to another Thunder and we need to block. With that in mind now we might be on the optimal scenario to do massive damage on their Annihilate, but they end up switching out on the Lantern. Are you kidding me? This is looking now horrific for them, because we can absolutely go ahead, survive the moves, and of course destroy them with a simple Wild Charge. What I want to do here is to go for the move after I farm up a ton, and then we have access on the Mirror Shot. So now they use the shield on this move. We also drop their attack stat, so that means that Primarina can easily come back to the game as a perfect closer and of course do what it does best, wall down the fighter. Into the next game now with a Feraligatr on Shadow form up in front, and this is obviously kind of a good lead for us. However, they can always outspeed us to the charge attack, so we need to play accordingly this one. I decide to switch out here on my Primarina, and that might be actually a mistake because now they can easily survive my Hydro Cannon while they still can bring their own selves to the Moonblast, go for the move and still survive the falling Waterfall. That was kind of a heartbreaking moment for me because I had the upper hand with Magnezone and I spent a shield no matter what. Not only that, but they also have a Clodsire at the back, so I'm not sure how we can actually win this one. So let's see how this is gonna go, because the battle is definitely not over yet, but Clodsire will pull off a lot of heavy work. What we need to do here is to survive at least one charge attack. Oh my goodness, they have Sludge Bomb as you can see, and now by blocking the next one we might be in deep trouble. Feraligatr comes into the game, we need to get our hands here on the Seed Bomb to finish them off, and I was pretty sure they were gonna take the move because they want most probably to keep those two seals for the Clodsire. Hopefully here that we end up going on the seed bomb on the CMP, which is absolutely great and what we could have hoped for the best so that we can win, and now all of a sudden we get a win condition. We get the excellent on the mirror shot and one more mirror shot, but we end up lagging just a little bit and we miss the bubbles, but still it is enough worth of damage and we end up winning this one, even though I'm pretty sure we shouldn't have won it. Anyways, now into the next game with a Golbat up in front. Finally we get a very good lead, and of course on the switch we're meeting up with Poliwrath. All of those counter users, and I mean all of them, like Poliwrath, Annihilate, Deoxys, whatever, they all gonna miss next season because counter is getting nerfed and they do not have a second fast attack that will actually help them. So over here now I'm gonna get on the Shadow Ball over that Golbat, and even though we are debuffed we can still connect that move for massive damage. The reason I overfarmed here is because I wanted them to reach to 5 of those wing attacks so I can possibly go for the CMP tie and win that one, and as you can see we can absolutely do this. All we need to do here now is to survive the following moves by shielding, able to completely farm down here. They know they stand no chance to my Volt switches and they back out. Pidgeot now is an amazing lead for our team, and we follow up with a switch out on the Shadow Venusaur. So obviously here I want to stay in with my Magnezone a little bit longer to charge up a lot, but we end up getting destroyed later on because I overstayed. That is an amazing mistake that I just did. What we want to do here is to reach now our hands on the Shadow Ball to finish off Venusaur, and they end up coming into the game with Feraligatr. At this point I know that Magnezone might actually be the key to my victory, and of course we end up going for a couple of wild charges, and this time on the shields. Second shield is already down, and now it's all up to our Primarina to emerge victorious over here. I know that the final shield needs to be kept for my Magnezone because if we can land here a Hydro Cannon we can drop them very low. So I'm lagging a little bit, but it makes no difference anyways, and on this point all I want to do is to survive the feather dance, and this is a mistake by the opponent. If I were them I would go for the Brave Bird because that was the win condition, but it is what it is. They realize they made a huge mistake and they back out. Into the next game now with a Quagsire up in front. We saw one Quagsire before, I think that was the first battle of today's content. Let's see how we can win this one once again, because they have a Sableye coming in and we finish off that Pokemon. This is absolutely huge. Now we have totally flipped around that very bad lead, but unfortunately for us they still have another hard check for our poor Magnezone. So Annihilate is so not gonna be missed next season, and I guess that with Primarina coming now into the game we are kinda in a very tough situation. Weak connection as always, but it makes no difference at all, so Hydro Cannon here will most likely connect to finish off Quagsire. Now at the back they have only the Annihilate, which is kinda hurt, and I'm hoping here to drop their attack stat so that I can snipe in one more Volt Switch worth of damage. We can do this, but not quite enough, and now they farm down and have quite the energy to finish me off with the final Night Slash. That was an amazing game by my opponent, and right straight into the next one and the final one for today's content. So Feraligatr up in front, switching out to Deoxys, which is something that we really love here since our Trevenant can survive all of those moves and get out of here with a bunch of energy stored up. What I want to do is to provoke them up to the next CMP point for the Psycho Boost, so we can do that by reaching here to a couple of seed bombs in the process. One seed bomb to destroy down the remaining HP that Deoxys is having, and one more move for that Feraligatr. Okay, I know I went for the Shadow Ball, but it makes no difference at all since they already blocked. Now with the Magnezone we managed to block the Hydro Cannon, and I want to rely completely on my mirror shots here so that we can end up victorious. I know that they already are on the point of a Hydro Cannon, that's why I'm switching out on my Primarina. They end up up having Talonflame, and this is huge for us because now we can easily farm down with the waterfalls, and this Pokemon is no joke at all with Hydro Cannon right now. That is gonna be all for today, trainers. Thank you for watching and for seeing around this time, because it really means a lot for my channel. As always, before you go, leave a huge like, subscribe to my content, and I hope to see you all into the next one and hopefully the next season.